Did you know that the idea to put air in Nike shoes actually came from a NASA astronaut? Frank Rudy, an astronaut and aerospace engineer in the 1970s, came up with the idea of putting air in the midsoles of shoes. And he actually shopped around to a bunch of different sneaker companies before he sold the idea to Nike. In front of me are 4 pairs of retros of the original shoe that had Nike Air. It was called the Air Tailwind, and Nike originally made 230 pairs and released them in Honolulu at the marathon. And then later in 1979, the shoe was made for the general public. So have a look at this beautiful shoe. And when you look at the midsole and sole, you would have no idea that there was air technology packed within this shoe. So the early ads for these shoes showed something like this, so that you could go as a consumer and see and understand this amazing innovation and this new technology that was in these incredible running shoes. So forever, Nike never retroed this pair of shoes, and I always wished that they would, because the old models from the 70s and early 80s tend to crumble. If you hold one up like this, the midsole just falls apart at the back and the shoe looks like Pac-Man. I've only ever seen 2 pairs of original Tailwinds in my life, and they were both at Nike World Headquarters. One of them was in Nelson Ferris's office, and the other was in a lobby in an old 1970s exhibit. But they're super cool, and if I ever found a pair of originals, I'd be all over them. When the Nike executives were visiting the ShoeZeum, they paid my rent for 3 months, and they sent teams of executives and designers down to talk to me for inspiration. And they asked me, Jordy, if we could retro any shoes, what would you want to see? And I said, I'd love the original Tailwind, I'd love the original Cortez, and my favorite shoe is the Pre-Montreal. And a year later, these shoes were released along with, guess what? The other shoes that I told them I'd love to see come out. At first, all of these shoes were released abroad, and I bought my first pairs from the UK on eBay. And then they were released stateside, and I went to Nike stores and started picking them up like candy. So the Tailwind was the first ever Nike shoe inspired by NASA, and it wasn't the only one. In '08, Nike released these incredible lunar racers onto the world. Check out this beautiful shoe. You would not believe how lightweight it is. And the NASA inspiration is in the midsole. This lunar light foam comes from a material that NASA uses in their spaceships. These shoes are so light, you absolutely would not believe it. I mean, it's like when you're holding the shoe, you don't even feel like you're holding anything at all. Another huge innovation on these shoes, in addition to the NASA-inspired midsoles, are the flywire uppers. If you look closely, you'll notice that the shoe is held together by these very thin cables, and really the upper is supposed to act like another skin on top of your foot, and it's the cables that do all the work and hold the shoes together. I had an exhibit in the ShoeZeum dedicated to NASA with the Tailwinds and with the lunar shoes. But the coolest shoe in the ShoeZeum that's NASA and outer space related is the Tom Sachs Mars Yard shoe. Check out this crazy box. It's actually a Nike box that's inside out using duct tape to hold it together. And on the front it says Tom Sachs Space Program. Tom Sachs is an artist, and he had an exhibit where he was like mocking what it would take to take off and do a trip to Mars and outer space. And he collaborated with Nike for these shoes. There's less than 200 pairs. Look, it Velcro's open. They come with these crazy midsoles that talk about the makeup of the universe and the makeup of human beings. And then these are the amazing shoes. Right now, you can't even find them online, except there's 2 pairs on eBay for $2,000 and $3,000. And you gotta love this crazy shoe. Go online and go to NikeCraft.com, NikeCraft.com, and you will not believe the ad campaign that Nike and Tom Sachs put together for this shoe, which was a part of a Tom Sachs art exhibition having to do with exploring outer space. Here's the other pair. There's also some crazy YouTube videos on these shoes. I highly recommend going on YouTube and searching for Nike Mars Yard. These shoes are meant to walk around on a yard that is supposed to recreate the atmosphere on Mars. Go online, lose your mind. These shoes are crazy. They're super valuable. You won't see a lot of them in the future.